Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video, I am going to be starting to work inside of my Traveler's Notebook from Coco Daisy, the Tranquility Traveler's Notebook Kit subscription, where I am going to be using this Traveler's Notebook to document the trips that we have taken or the visits that we have done with our local zoo this year. So one of the things that our family has made it a goal to do for 2021 is to get to our zoo, which we're members of, at least one time each month. So today I'm going to be working on my cover, the inside cover, and then the first two spreads, which will document the visit that we did back in January, and then the visit that we did in February. And then I'm going to have a second video that will be posted this month, and that is going to cover the next three, I believe. So it'll be the month of March. And then I'm going to do a quarterly recap of all the animals that we've seen. And then the month of April. So yep, that'll be three. And then that will be as far as we've gotten so far. And then as we do our visits the rest of the year, I will fill this in, potentially video it for you guys so you guys can see how I'm working in this album, and then putting together the rest of our visits for 2021. So what I'm going to do is put you on fast forward while I get everything put together today. On my desk in front of me, I will say that I have most of the stuff, well, all of the stuff from Coco Daisy that came in the Traveler's Notebook memory keeping subscription kit, in addition to some items that were in a classified kit. So that is all here in my 3-tiered container that will help me to embellish and do some things with my album. I also have my pages already pretty much determined and set up here. And then for some of my stamping, I'm going to be using my Close to My Heart brushed alpha stamp in order to put my title here on the front, and the archival black ink, which I also purchased from the Close to My Heart company. So I will put links to everything that I'm using down below in case you're wondering. And then without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this album and get started. Starting to work in this album, the first thing I'm going to do is get my title page done. So I pulled over my stamping pad. This is the Stamper's Secret Weapon. It's just a foam pad that helps me to, number one, get better impressions with my stamping, but also to protect a little bit more of my surface from the ink that I'm using, just in case I happen to drop something, which occasionally, that happens. Then I am taking out the letters that I'm going to need for my title. My plan is to make this say Zoo Visits 2021, since that is exactly what I'm going to be documenting here. So I pulled these all out, and I'm going to start with the word visits because I know I want that to go directly in the middle of this page. I count out the letters with my fingers, trying to figure out what is the middle letter in the word visits, and it's actually two letters in the middle, the S and the I. So I was thinking about stamping them together and then thought better of that. I'm a little bit better at gauging spacing when I just stamp them individually. So then I'm going to grab over my ink pad here, ink this up, and stamp it directly into the middle. And then from there, I can build the rest of my title out to the edges, and then the upper and the lower parts. Goodness, I'm trying to say a word and I can't even say it. So that is essentially how I stamped out this title. I really, really love the brush alpha stamp from Close to My Heart. It's one of my favorites because it's skinny, and it also has this really distressed look about it that I think looks super cool, especially for something like this. And stamping on craft paper, there's something about distressed ink and craft paper that go very well together. So I've got my entire title stamped out here, and next I'm going to add a few more decorative pieces to this title page just because I felt like it was a little bit too plain. So I grabbed the grid washi that came in the main kit, and I stuck a section of it down right underneath my title. I'm going to go through my embellishments to try and find a few pieces that I think would go nicely on here. I have a few of the embellishment pieces that I really love, but I wasn't able to figure out yet how to use them. One example is the Let's Root for Each Other. It's a black long strip, and I really love the way that that looks. And then I'm debating also between doing some chipboard or doing the flat die cuts. It's kind of a toss-up what I want to do here. And then ultimately, I'll decide to just do them both. So I'm going to grab over a thicker banner type shape that is the lighter green color. And then I've also found a die cut piece that says Explore. So it's black with white text. And Explore made a lot of sense to me because we are going and exploring the zoo every month. So I don't know, something about that just was like, it just felt right. So right here is how I'm going to layer that up. I'll put the Explore right on top of the green banner, and then we'll stick that down on top of the washi tape. Once I have all of that adhered down, I'm also going to grab over a couple of rub-on stickers. Are they stickers? Are rub-ons stickers? I don't know. But I'm going to grab a couple of these off of the sheet and use them here on the title page. So I really loved the way that the leafy bit here, which you'll see in a second, frames around the letter Z. I tried to just do them straight from this larger sheet, but I accidentally get a portion of the piece right above it. So moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and trim out the pieces that I want to use and then use them in that way. That way I don't run the risk of accidentally adhering something that I don't want to adhere. So I've got the leaf portion that's up by the Z in zoo. I'm going to get one more leaf to put down on the opposite side with the 2021, so on the right side of 2021. So that gives this a little bit of green framing. And then I will also pull out this strip of black arrows to put underneath the die cut piece or the chipboard / die cut piece that I'm going to add on. And that's just going to help to ground this. Even though I have three things, I've got the washi tape and the Explore die cut and the green chipboard piece, because I have the chipboard and the die cut layered in such a way, they look almost like they're one piece. So I was looking for something to give this almost a, quote unquote rule of three to make it a little bit more visually appealing. And this, for me, this totally did the trick. So that is going to be my title page. So now we're going to work on the inside title page, and this one will be fairly simple. The first thing I did was I pulled out that really awesome transparency pocket. It's adhesive backed pocket that you can stick inside of your book. It came in the classified subscription bag, and I stuck it on the inside cover of my album, with the idea being that I could create these 4 little tags, so one for each of our family members, and fill in some questions that I could ask at the end of the year. So I've got name, I've got age, I have favorite animal, I have top 3 animals to visit at the zoo, so stuff that's very specific to our trips. Favorite moment from the zoo this year. I don't remember what else I said in there, but just a bunch of different questions for each of us to fill out once the year comes to a close. And so that's going to be the inside cover. I debated sticking some twine through the hole, but it just was a little bit too bulky and you couldn't turn the tags very well. So I'm thinking I'm just going to leave them as is and not really have too much. I don't want to know what I'm saying, but I don't care about it too much. Like it's totally fine. I'm fine with there not being any twine. For the right side of this spread, I am using those puffy stickers to spell out the word Detroit Zoo. That is the zoo that we go to regularly. We've been members for now 4 years, and we just love it there. It's an activity that we've been doing once a month, most months of the year. We've never actually made it all 12. Last year, our goal was to make it all 12. And then last year, COVID started and shut the world down in March. So we only made it January and February. So far this month, we are 4 for 4. And we just need to log onto the computer and figure out when we're going to go in May. It's one of our favorite activities. The kids love it. Everybody's an animal fan in our house. So It's just, it feels like home. So I have finished up that first inside cover, and now we're going to work on spread number 1. So this one is going to be all about going to the zoo in January. Now here in Michigan in January, it is cold. It's usually very cold and snowy and, not super awesome for going outside, but we knew we wanted to do it. So what we did is for Isabella's birthday, which was January 6th, we surprised the kids. We packed them up in the car and drove them to the zoo, and we surprised them with going that particular day and then also renewing our expired at that point zoo membership. We hadn't renewed it. It doesn't automatically renew, and we had forgotten to renew it when it expired in 2020. And we just weren't super like, let's do that, because we couldn't even go. So once we could go again, we're like, yep, let's go ahead and renew that membership. And then we got to enjoy just walking around the park. We actually made it twice in January. Some months we go more than once because it is one of the only activities we've been able to find to be able to do that's outdoors, that our kids enjoy and that we enjoy. So, so we made it twice in January. At the top of my journaling page, which details all about everything I just said, I added one more of those rub-on stickers, which is one of the fern leaves. And then I layered up 2 additional die cuts on top of that just talk about like exploring or adventuring, that sort of thing. And then I am just going to adhere it straight onto that pattern paper, which was already inside of the book. Then for the right side, I have created a grid of photos, which happens a lot as I'm working through this album. One, because I really like grids. They are super visually appealing to me. And 2, because it gives me a chance to use more than one photo in these spreads. And a lot of times we have a ton of really good photos from each of our visits. So I like being able to use a variety and to be able to get all of us in the picture. So like I've got one of Jonah and Aaron with a bear in the background. One of the grizzly bears was out and playing. I've got a picture of Izzy holding up her number 6. We brought the number 6 with us to the zoo and then got to a place where we were very secluded so she could remove her mask and I could take some pictures of her before she put it back on, and we continued on. And then I've got a picture of myself overlooking the polar bear exhibit. It was the first time that we had ever seen the polar bear out and about. So that was actually really a cool experience. And that is something that I will say, I also added 2 little embellishments there too. Anyway, that is something that I will say about going to the zoo all year round, is that during different seasons, different animals are alert and awake and active. So in these colder months, we were able to see the polar bears. The grizzly bears came out. Grizzly bears do a lot of sleeping in the winter, right? But they don't never come out. So they came out and they were really active the day that we saw them. Then we also, the tigers are super active in the colder weather, whereas in the warmer weather, they're just sleeping somewhere and you don't usually see them very much. So there's something to say about trying to go in the different seasons, because you're going to get more personal experiences with the animals during different parts of the year. So that is that. For my February spread, that's what we're working on next. I have a single picture that I am documenting. We didn't take a whole lot of pictures this day, or I did, but they were just of us. like there wasn't any difference between a normal picture that I would take and a picture at the zoo. So I picked this one, which is Aaron and I in front of the butterfly house. I will say that with COVID, one of the things that's really been a bummer, not so much anymore because it's warm now, but in the winter months, is that all of the indoor enclosures were closed off. So normally when we go in the winter, you can go inside of the butterfly house and inside of the amphibian house and the reptile house and the giraffe house and like the rhino house. Like you can go see all of the summertime animals, but inside their homes instead of at their outdoor enclosures, which often gets you a lot more up close and personal with them. And it's super, super cool. But with COVID, everything's been closed. You could only do the outside stuff. So we were limited to only seeing the outdoor animals this winter. Hopefully by next winter, things will have righted themselves enough so that guests can go inside again. Especially with vaccine stuff, hopefully by the winter, everything will be okay, because it is really cool to be able to go inside. So the photo here is Erin and I in front of the butterfly house that we couldn't go in. We just stopped there, and Izzy took that picture of us, which is really cute. We don't often get pictures together because usually I'm taking them or I'm forcing Erin to take them. So, it was nice to get one of both of us. For the right side of the spread, I created my own tag. So I took a piece of pattern paper, I added it to the top of a longer piece of journaling text printed on plain white cardstock. And then I trimmed off the edges and hole punched it in the middle. I have one of the hole reinforcers hole punches from We Are Memory Keepers. So I took that in order to create my own hole reinforcer piece out of a different pattern paper. And I think it looks really cool to have the contrast of that peachy color with the green in the center. And I did also add some of this natural twine inside of it. I like the use of the natural twine with this type of a kit where there's a lot of greens and really like natural colors, earthy tones. I think it looks really good. I also debated whether or not to back this with a pattern paper, enough so that I will actually trim that into a paper that fits inside of the notebook. And then ultimately I will decide not to do that and instead to just add a couple more of those rub-on stickers. The photo on the left side, all I'm going to do is just stick it to the page. And then I did find 2 die cuts that I really liked. So one says always look on the bright side, which I thought was appropriate because even though it was really cold and even though we couldn't go inside, we were still like enjoying our time as our family and looking on the bright side of things. So it just made sense. And then the other piece is a geotag, which also, makes me think of adventuring. So those are my die cuts. And then on the tag, I did add one additional chipboard piece at the bottom. So that to me helped it feel a little bit more balanced by giving it a shelf there, I suppose, at the bottom. So here's where you can see that, nope, I decided to just go ahead and use the white. And then I'm debating on which of these I want to use. Ultimately, there are 3 little moth stickers, and that made sense to me since we were in front of the butterfly house, that we would have some kind of insect. Moth was fine. There is a butterfly on there. It's just too large and I would have had to cover up way too much of it. So I'm going to save that for another time, and maybe eventually we'll actually be able to go into the butterfly house again, and I might be able to use that for that spread. So I will potentially save it for like a just in case type of deal. So I'm just adding a little bit of roller adhesive, to the back of that tag and then sticking it right down onto the page. And then here again, I debated just rubbing on the sticker without separating them, and then thought better of it. So I will go ahead and position these around. I thought about moving this one, and then I stuck it too much to the paper. So a piece of it ripped off, and then I was like, well, I guess it's just going to go there. If it sticks, it stays, I suppose. So then I'm going to do the other 2 on here as well. And I believe I call this one done at that point. The right side isn't my favorite. I mean, I'm going to live with it. It's totally fine. I'm okay with how it turned out. But there's something about it to me that still feels a little unbalanced. But that's okay. Anyway, you guys, those are my spreads for today. All right, friends, that finishes my first couple of spreads in this Zoo Traveler's Notebook. I love the way this title page turned out. And then I've got the inside here with the little pocket where I've created my own tags, which will fill out at the end of the year. And then my second intro here, my January spread, and my February spread. So far, I am really enjoying this. I love the colors, and I'm really liking those little rub-on stickers as well. Those have been really fun to work with. All right, friends, well, I hope that you have enjoyed watching these spreads come together, and if you have, I would love a thumbs up down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're there as well so you can see all of my future crafty videos, and keep an eye out for the second video that is going to come out this month working in this album. We'll be putting together the next 3 spreads, and then it will just be as the visits happen from there. So really super fun. All right, well, I will be back later in the week with some additional content. And until then, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye, friends.